Hello everyone. In the last lecture, we saw uh, the compliances or the CapEx and OpEx model, right? In this lecture, we'll see the cloud deployment models. So as you can see on the screen, there are three different cloud deployment models. A cloud deployment model basically defines where your data is stored and how your customers interact with it, how do they get access to it, and where your applications are running. It also depends on how much you of your own infrastructure you want to manage, right? So as you can see, there is public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. So let's talk about public cloud. Now this is the most common deployment model. In this case, you have no local hardware to manage or keep up to date. Everything runs on the cloud provider's hardware. Now in some cases, you can save additional cost by sharing computing resources with other cloud users as well. Now, as an example, Microsoft Azure is an example of public cloud provider. So basically, if any cloud provider which has opened their resources to public, that you can go ahead and register and then start using their services is called a public cloud provider, like Microsoft Azure, like Amazon's AWS, Google Cloud. So these are public cloud providers. Then, I mean, obviously the advantages when you talk about advantages of public cloud, you have high scalability. You don't need to buy any new server in order to scale. You can do scaling as much as you want and whenever you want it. Second thing is pay as you go pricing model. We have talked about it previously. No capital expenditure. uh, you are not responsible for maintaining any updates or hardware, right? And you don't need that much technical expertise. You can just talk to your cloud provider or their partners, and then they can get you going in the cloud as well. There are also some disadvantages as well. So not all scenarios fit the public cloud, right? So there can be certain requirements like legal requirements or industry standards, government policies. We spoke about it during the compliance video as well. Sometimes there are some legal requirements or government policies that you have to adhere to, and maybe your cloud provider is uh, does not you cannot meet those requirements, right? Uh, then you cannot go to for a public cloud. Second thing is, again, if you want more control over your hardware and services, then again you need to have your own data center and not move to cloud. Third thing is, if you have a legacy application. So most of the cloud providers, whenever you have a discussion with them and you tell them that you have a legacy application, okay, they will ask you to first upgrade it and then move to cloud. So you cannot directly move anything and everything to cloud. There are certain parameters that you'll have to look. Then only you can move to cloud. So again, if you want to continue with that legacy application, you cannot move to cloud in that scenario. Then you have private cloud, obviously. So in private cloud, what happens is you create your own data center, right? And you uh, you create a cloud environment in your own data center and provide self-service access to compute resources to users in your organization. So basically, one aspect of cloud computing is that it's a self-service model, right? So anybody can log in, create services. So again, in on-premises scenario, that doesn't happen. You have an IT team. If you need your developer team needs new servers, they call them. They say, okay, hey, we need 5 more servers. So they provision them and then give the access to the developer team. But if you can have all the features of the cloud like elasticity, reliability, self-service access, and all of those things, then you can go ahead and uh, make your own data center as a cloud where you have scaling capabilities, you have self-service, everybody can use it at the same time. Those things you can go ahead and definitely do. So advantage is definitely you can ensure the configuration can support any scenario or legacy application because you have access to the hardware and everything. You can run whatever application you want, whether it's legacy application or a modern application based on microservices or something. You have total control and responsibility over security. Private clouds can meet strict security compliance and legal requirements because uh, they do not have an open architecture where external users are coming in, so they are kind of more secure, and they can definitely meet legal requirements or the government policies that if needed be. Disadvantages, definitely if you want to build something, then there's a lot of cost involved. We spoke about it in the capital expenditures cost, right? And yeah, there's a lot of cost involved. Owning the equipment limits your agility as well. Again, to scale, you must buy and install and set up new hardware, which takes a lot of time. If somebody is in hardware business, they will know, or somebody is procuring hardware from their for their companies, they would know how much time it takes for the entire procurement cycle to happen, right? It takes a lot of time. And again, it requires expertise that's hard to come by, and that is also an additional cost. Then you have hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud combines public and private cloud both, allowing you to run your applications in the most appropriate locations. So if you want to have an example, like you can host a website that you have in public cloud and link to a highly secure database that is hosted in your private cloud, that is your on-premises data center. So your database that is uh, you know secure and confidential, you put it in your private cloud or your own data center, and then the website you can put it on the public cloud. That can work. So this is helpful when you have some things that you cannot put in the cloud for various reasons that we have already spoken about, maybe legal, government policy, or anything else. For example, you may have some specific pieces of data that cannot be exposed publicly, right? Like in the medical field, and any medical data or any insurance data that you cannot expose to the public, which needs to be held in your own private data center. Then another example is like one or more application that runs on old hardware that cannot be updated. So some of the application, they are hardware bound. They are fixed on the hardware. You cannot run it elsewhere. So those applications you can run on uh, your private cloud and then connect it to public cloud for authorization or different things. Advantages definitely for a hybrid cloud that you can keep any system running that is accessible, uh, or that uses out of date hardware or an out of date operating system. You can have flexibility when you want to run locally or versus in cloud. uh, you can have security, compliance, and all of those things, legacy scenarios, all of those things you can take care of. Some disadvantage, obviously, it can be more expensive when you are running deployment in both public and private clouds. Capex cost, OPEX costs you need to have in both ways. And it can be more complicated to set up and manage because you need to manage the connectivity between private and public cloud as well. So and those can be a bit tricky and tough to set up. So again, that is so to summarize, basically, cloud computing is flexible and gives you the ability to choose how you want to deploy it. We saw the various models here. The cloud deployment model you choose depends on on your budget, on your security, scalability, and maintenance needs. So that's up for this video. Thank you.